bit of exciting news here. American metal band Savatage are set to reunite for their first headlining shows and tour next year in 2025, the first in 20 years. Now, I won't go into too much detail here for people who don't know who Savatage are. I'm saving that for a documentary later down the line, some editorials. I'll just give you a basic gist of it. Savatage are an American metal band from Florida. They've been around for some 45 years, got their start in the early 80s. The brainchild of singer and keyboardist John Oliva and his brother Chris Oliva, who's a guitarist who also passed away, sadly, 30 years ago. Rest in peace, Chris. They've carried on for decades with Chris Caffrey and additional members. Been 20 years since their last headlining show, and I think that was around the time of their last album as well. I'm not too sure. I didn't listen to too much of their stuff going into the turn of the century. Mostly the stuff I listened to was the 80s, early to mid 90s stuff, but they've been active for decades this entire time, I know, because John Oliva was featured on one of the songs on my favorite band of all time, Camelot's last album with their original singer Roy Khan, Poetry for the Poisoned. So I know John Oliva has continued to write music throughout all these years. Now, I know he's been dealing with some health issues this last 10 years or so, as well as some legal issues. I think Meniere's disease, I believe, and recently diagnosed MS. So I know John Oliva has some health things to take care of, which is why it is a surprise that they're going back on tour next year. Now, to people, fans of the band, it's been well known that Oliva and the rest of the band were working on new Savatage music for some years now, but we didn't expect for it to actually culminate in anything given Oliva's health conditions. But turns out that things seem to be on the uptick, because next year we're getting this headlining tour and a new album to follow soon. I don't know, maybe before, maybe they'll drop a few singles before, maybe it'll come out after, I'm not sure, but I'm sure the two will coincide and tie into one another somehow. So I just thought this was really cool. Savatage, they don't have the biggest reputation. It depends on who you ask. I think they're bigger in Europe than they actually are here in the States. But for American metal, they put a lot of elements of power metal and symphonic metal that the European metal bands were doing. They were kind of doing that over here and mixing it with thrash and a little bit of classic heavy metal. It was kind of a kind of US power metal style that was more akin to the European power metal style, or at least more influenced by it more than American metal or the Nawabum stuff. But yeah, I just thought this was really cool. I'm looking forward to this, and hopefully John Oliva gets his health together and everything can proceed as planned next year. Zach Stevens, Chris Caffrey, I'm definitely looking forward to it.